good afternoon to you wherever you're listening to me from. Welcome to 360 Parenting with Ibukolu Alteshli on Honor 103.5 FM, where, as you know, honor and integrity is our watchword. Compliments of the season. Yes, this will be, this is our last episode for the year 2024. We're thankful to God for the gift of life. Farouk, I got it right? Okay. Well, thankful to God for the gift of life. Despite all that has happened in Nigeria, God has kept us and we are grateful. We are thankful. I just want to encourage every one of us. The truth about it is the year 2024 has been a year. You might not be where you had planned to be, but I'm sure that there are a million people that will give anything to be where you are right now. So please just forget whatever you're still trusting for and just be grateful to God that you are able to see today. I also want to use this opportunity to thank all of our listeners. Thank you for being with us. It's 64 days. 64, yeah? Today's thank you for being with us these 364 days. It's been great engagement. I also want to use this opportunity to say thank you to all of our guests. Every time we called them, they had listened, they had acknowledged, and they had answered our calls, and they had helped us to add to the body of knowledge, as it were. So I'm saying thank you to everyone, and I'm saying that year 2025 will be a better year for us all. On 360 Parenting today, I have a very, 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 very big fish. Yes, I have a guest in the house. And one of the things I want us to do, or what I want us to talk about today, is like what I call house cleaning. You know, as we prepare for the year 2025, where it concerns our children, it's important that we learn how to engage with them, how to deal with them in the new year. You cannot do something the same way and expect it to change. I say this every time, that be parenting education, positive parenting, you must be intentional about seeking knowledge. And today we're going to be talking about something very, very important. Now, what we're going to discuss today, please keep it somewhere. Everyone, I believe, every parent will find it useful at one point or the other. What's our topic today? Today we're going to be looking at positive parenting of crime at risk children. Yes, positive parenting of crime at risk children. I'm sure you're wondering, what have I come with again today? What do I mean by crime at risk children? Don't worry, I have an authority in that field to help us run through that this afternoon. Let me quickly introduce my guest to you. I have the singular honor of introducing to us my guest, Professor Oyesoji Aremu. Is a professor of counseling and criminal justice from the University of Ibadan. He holds joint appointments in the Counseling and Human Development Department. He's also on the teaching faculty of the Faculty of Law of the University of Ibadan. Still, he has held several positions in the university, which includes the Sub-Dean, undergraduate and postgraduate, Warding and Nnamdi Azikiwe Hall. I wonder why it's in Nnamdi Azikiwe Hall. But Deputy Director, Academics, Distance Learning Center, Director, Distance Learning Center, and Head of Department Counseling and Human Development Studies, University of Ibadan. He is also the DVC Academics for Achievers University, Owo, and is a Baptist deacon, a Jerusalem Pilgrim, and an Oyo State Justice of Peace. You see that the fish that I have, did you call the fish that I have? And he's also a father, of course, because we're talking about parenting, and soon to be a grandfather. So he's somebody that can address or look at this topic from however way we want to look at it, whether the spiritual, whether the theoretical, whether the psychological part, or just from the experiential part. And so I want to say good afternoon, sir, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Ibuku and listeners. It's my pleasure to be here this afternoon.
Okay.
Thank you for the avalanche of introduction.
You know, I had to even say to him, how do I say give us a brief profile? You know, when you're reading profile of people like this, to make the profile brief, it's a lot of work in itself. And so before we go into our conversations, I must say, well, how, so 2024, we all know how 2024 was, but how are you able to still look this good? Mom is listening, so I have permission to say this.
Wait.
How are you able to still look this put together and still good, sir?
Well, so many things go on in Nigeria. First, I will say the grace of Almighty God.
We are in the same Nigeria,
We are in the same Nigeria. One. Number two, as much as possible, not to put the stress and stressors in Nigeria upon ourselves. No, I'm talking about our mental health. Making it positive. And of course, looking good, looking positive in spite of the challenges in the country. They have this philosophy. Whatever it is, I would say, these too shall pass.
Word. These two shall pass. Did you call? Did you eat chicken? You didn't get chicken. That too. You have even already passed. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. You know, like they say that Egun la fin keyin. So it's not a coincidence that the last episode we're running in the year 2024, we have you, our guest, and we do not take this for granted. So because we have so much to talk about, I want us to go straight into the conversation. I know that we would not be able to exhaust it. I'm hoping that you will be able to join us again next week to continue. Thank you very much, sir. So let's go into it. Now, we have said positive parenting of children, crime at risk children. Sir, help me break it down for the people at home to understand what child or what category of children do we describe as crime at risk?
Thank you so much. We are in a very complex society, a society that's also dynamic. And our children are not immune to many of the challenges in this society. When we talk about crime at risk, we're talking about children. Anybody that's called a child that has a propensity of going into crime, not by his own volition, but through other means in his immediate environment.
Okay.
It could even be in the family itself, and the family members will not know. Of course, it could be in the society, and given the avalanche of what we see or what children watch on social media, what happens in schools, and of course, what they hear, what they talk. You know, they have their group.
Yes.
They have, and they freely talk among themselves. So, but then we now have these children, and the kind of life they are living or what they do could bring them into problem with the criminal justice. We now say those children are at crime at risk.
Okay. So, sir, are they red flags? How do you know that, you know, your child, or maybe because, you know, I like to say that, of course, as you know, that even caregivers, teachers are parents in local, and we like to talk about the fact that everyone has a duty to raise the children in their within their influence. So what are there red flags? Are there telltale signs that help you to identify that this child is a crime at risk child?
It could be. We could have red flags, and some we may not have.
Okay.
Because if you look at children who are at crime at risk, it's possible through their conduct at home. Parents who are very, very observant may begin to say this child and begin to suspect him and begin to watch his or her behavior. It's like something is happening. So those are the signals, early signals. I won't call it red flag. They are early signals that could make a parent or some parents begin to say, okay, let's do something about this. There could be a kind of red signals as well. When a child begins to do a thing which outside the norm, no matter, every society has a norm, every family has a norm. Another word, the moment you get out of the norm, then we're talking about red signals, and of course, which also serve as a warning signal as well. That is one. Another thing has to do with the fact that the kind of society or friends, talking about the peers, who the child is associating with, the surrounding, could also portend some dangers, could also be a red signal. For example, do you know children are also profiled? Not adults alone. Children are also profiled. You could have in your neighborhood a particular child that every time you hear this about him or her, and all of a sudden that child comes to your place, to your house. Of course, because that child has been profiled, not by you, although it's not a good thing to profile a child, but I've used the word profiling code. Then even at that, you now begin to say that the peer pressure, the friendship, and so on could also portend. Then again, the school. It's unfortunate that these days some schools, I know there are good schools around, but also there are schools who are not mindful of this in society. Your child returns home from the school, all of a sudden the kind of a behavior you do not know him or her for, he begins to exhibit such behavior. Then the school could also do that. Then the phones, laptops, and children carry about
social
media. But then you see unknowingly, just without him knowing. If a child may be probably on his or her phone, if he's so glued to the phone that you even ask him to do a thing and he refuses or probably just feels uncomfortable doing it, you can quickly ask him, okay, can you please come closer? So I want to send him to a place that will take him 2, 3, 4 minutes. Go through the phone. But then you go through the phone, you could also show some red signals there, what he or she does. So those are the kind of a thing that parents need to be careful or wary of.
So how do we draw the line between crime at risk children and children just being children? Children will lie, children will sometimes take maybe what is not given to them, so how do we draw the line?
Each time I teach, there's a particular course I teach in the university, we call it Theories of Crime. I ask this question: is there anybody here who has ever stolen anything? Nobody will say, yes, I've never. All of us. So it's a normal thing for a child to do this, to do that. It's part of developmental efforts. But at a point, our parents will spank us, will say do this, and a point will not leave that behind us. But we now have some children, we could ask them that engage in delinquency through life course. We call it delinquency through life course. In other words, even the moment they leave that stage and they are spanked, they are said do this, they stop it. But instead of leaving, they graduate to another form of delinquency. In other words, I'm not using the word crime now, because sometimes we need to protect, we call it child right protection, we need to protect them, not go into further delinquent behavior. If they are not checked, they move on from living the childhood period, going to early adolescence. If they are not checked, they also go on get to late adolescent stage. They go to young adults, before you know it. We have some individuals. If you check through the family line, the family tree, they produce so many criminals
in their
families.
Is it hereditary?
And at that point, somebody will ask, is it hereditary or is it kind of a coincidence, genetic? Yes. We also have, that's why you said the other time we may not finish this today.
No.
We also have genetic disposition
to crime.
There are, whether you like it or not. They also have a kind of a thing where a child lives. At the moment you get in from that environment, he may decide not to do it. But just like somebody who is sick, you have a relapse. Also have a relapse in crime. People have a relapse in crime. Yes, people have that. You say you're not doing this today, kind of a thing, you're not doing it. And truly, he stops doing it. But he gets to another environment in which he meets with some individuals again. That will not be because it is in him or her already. It will just come up again. We also have some individuals in which society have so labeled. Some individuals, even children, why are so labeled? We have them under the bridge and so on, the ghetto. They are so labeled. Because they are so labeled, they don't want to be alone in that kind of a stigma. And they now begin to have people call. You will say, Ajebudu Wenenkura. So that kind of a thing. So many things about children and young people.
I need you to hold that thought. We need to go on this break. When we come back, we will continue from there. At that time, we'll begin to look at what are a few things that a parent can then do, to mitigate or to help the child come out from that.
103.5 FM.
The essence of interior design will always be about people and how they live. It is about the realities of what makes for an attractive, civilized, and meaningful home environment. This is our foremost concern at Mr. Johnson Furniture and Interior Decoration, and this is why we stay faithful to your own taste, because nothing you really like is ever out of style. Mr. Johnson Furniture and Interior Decoration, we specialize in importing and delivering quality royal beds, sofas, lights, and doors to every home across Nigeria. We are located inside Dogafort Filling Station in Lewura Junction, Akala Express, Ibadan. Call us up on 080-913-35706 or send a WhatsApp message to 090-445-30230. We don't just sell quality products. Our maintenance team is on standby to give free routine maintenance for a whole year after purchase. Mr. Johnson Furniture, our passion is to bring affordable luxury to every home and offices.
gbogbo onínáwó pátá tó fi mọ́ gbogbo aláṣẹ chicken tẹ́ fẹ́ lò bó ti wù kó pọ̀ tó DMGs ni ẹ máa bọ̀ ẹ má wulẹ̀ làágùn jìnnà mọ́ DMG frozen foods ni ẹ máa bọ̀. Oh yes, whatever occasion it is, chieftaincy ceremony, housewarming, naming, birthday party, or whatever occasion it is, DMG frozen foods has got your back for whatever number of chickens you may desire. All caterers, worry less, as DMG is there for you to take care of your chicken supplies, be it whole chicken or in pieces. DMGs will cut, will pack, and deliver to wherever you want it. Àjẹpẹ́ tẹ́ bá ti ń ronú ìnáwó ẹ ṣáà máa ronú DMGs fún irúfẹ́ iye chicken tẹ́ bá ń fẹ́ bó ti wù kó pọ̀ tó kò sí wàhálà kankan. Ẹ kàn sí DMG frozen foods lẹ́nìí ní plot 2 block F number 6 Olúbàdàn avenue Olúyọ̀lé estate lẹ́bàá Fumac pharmacy Ìbàdàn tàbí lẹ́ka àwọn tó wà ní off new garage Akala expressway lẹ́bàá Anchor mall kátó déré Akari junction Ìbàdàn. Fún àlàyé lẹ́kùnrẹ́rẹ́ ẹ pè 090-6286-4238 tàbí 090-6296-8870. Think party chickens, think JMG.
On 103.5 FM.
Welcome back to 360 Parenting with Ibukun Lua Teshley on 103.5 FM. We've been talking about positive parenting of children, of crime at risk children, and my guest still is Professor Aremu from many places, from the University of Ibadan, Counseling and Human Development Studies, and then of course also, like I said, the DVC academics from Achievers University. And he's been talking to us. He's helped us to break down what children we can categorize as crime at risk. We have also looked at what the red flags can be. So I want us quickly, because our time is fast spent. I've, of course, he's made a commitment to us that he would be here again next week so that we can conclude this conversation, because I'm sure we're not going to be able to conclude it. But sir, what are the things that you can do first to prevent? Because it's always cheaper to prevent than to respond to, than to rehabilitate, than to treat, than to take to remediation and the rest of that. Yeah. So as a parent, what can parents do or put in place that can help the children or their children or children in their care not to become crime at risk?
Thank you so much. Ideally, prevention is even cheaper. It doesn't cost us anything. It doesn't even cause parents stress, anxiety, sleepless nights, name it. I think the very first thing is to take them to the way of the Lord, the way of God. That's the very, very important thing. So that as much as possible, the mind of the parent will be at rest, at peace. So wherever these children are, they know, okay, for my boy, for my girl, I'm very sure he's not going to do this, he's not going to do that. If he has anything disturbing him, probably kind of everything, but then he or she gets home, he's going to tell me. So show them the way of God, the way of the Lord. That's the very first thing. Number two is prayer. I must stress the prayer. You see, in Africa, we are a praying nation, especially in Nigeria, we are a praying country. It's good though, because if you get to Europe and America, you see the statistics over there is alarming. It's saddening. Honestly speaking, it's saddening.
It's worrisome.
No. So I think one of the things helping us in Nigeria and Africa is that we are a praying country, we are a praying nation, kind of thing. That's very, very important. Having said that, I think we have to talk about some issue going to strengthening of family bonds. family dynamics. You see, whether we like it or not, each family has some kind of thing. We're talking about the culture, the culture of the family, or some people call the tradition of the family. Ideally, every family should have something to say, for this family, this is what we know this family for. I think we must get to a level, develop our family to that level, to which another family will say, for so family, we know them by this. We know by this, they will know them very well. So if that is good, the fourth thing is to have to strengthen that dynamic, that bond. So, and your child will know you. Let me quickly tell you something. My daughter is on holiday, says something. I think it was 3-4 days ago. You know, Daddy, I know you were alarmed, but I know what you will not want me. You will not want me to come home after 7 p.m. So they know that you can't call me after 7 p.m. So that is one thing. So if you are able to do this, we'll be able to help them. Another thing has to do with parenting programming. You see, I don't want to be apologetic about this. Some parents themselves need to be parenting. Very, very important. So we're talking about horrid parents. Of course, maybe it's not through their own doing that they find themselves in such a thing.
Or even child parents.
Yeah, of course, it's not anything bad, but they themselves need a kind of parenting. So if you now have a parent that needs to be parented and not get an issue, not what you do. So we're talking about parenting programming. So in other words, some individuals need to be trained how to parent child or children. Because in the past, that's one of the culture that is missing in us. I remember very well in the past, because you see happening one way or the other. If you get married and you have your first baby, your mother-in-law will come, your mother will come and begin to train you how to bath, how to carry the baby, and so on and so forth. Even they will also train. Men are so the baby is so fragile. Carry her, nothing will happen. How to feed the baby and so on. What you tell the baby and so on. We are not what we call first 14 steps in developmental psychology of children. Those first 14 steps, parents will also have to train the child. The other thing has to do even the first language of the child and the kind of language what the child hears at home. Also have a way of reshaping his or her personality, shaping the kind of a person he or she will be. And by so doing also, that's what we call parent programming. Then another thing again related to what we call family therapy. Whether we like it or not, we need to talk about family therapy. Some family needs we need to offer therapy to some family. How do we talk about offering them the kind of a therapy or therapist, as the case may be? You have to look at the kind of thing happening in that family. Then through family therapy, you can now take that child or some children in touch with family, let them mingle with some other family that you see as a model, kind of a thing. And when you tell them, just watch it, kind of a thing. Whatever happens, note it, without them knowing. But then they can now ask them, what happens, family AAA? What do you need? What do you notice? What do you think is happening there that we are not doing? And children will realize so many things. Oh, I love the way they talk. Oh, I know the way they dance. I know the way I kind of thing, and so on and so forth. This is very, very important. Then I talk about education and skills development. You see, Yoruba that says that there's a lot of wisdom in that. We need to give education, whether we like it or not. Education and skills development. You see, all this we call about skilling and so on, it has been with us for years. I remember when we were in primary school, apart from going to learn through ABC or ABD and so on and so forth, we also have the kind of a craft needle making. We learn. In fact, during holiday, you also make some money for yourself, kind of a thing. But this time around, we say, oh no, don't do this, don't do that. You take them to school. Good is good, we do that. We don't want our children to go through what we went through in life. Fine. But at the same time, we need to learn some basic things, how to wash plates and so on and so forth. So that it happens to me. For instance, I was alone with my son, who's a baby. He also came from university, and I said, okay, Daddy, what do you say? I said, I will eat rice and stew. He said, no. He prepared stew and rice for me, and I enjoyed it. I said, wow, so I'm not missing much this time around. So we're talking about kind of a thing. We need to give them that kind of education. Then again, I talk about life skills training. Life skills training is not the same thing as kind of a skill development. You're talking about life skills. There are basic things in life we continue to learn, we continue to do. So we must teach our children to embrace that life skills training. How do you grade? How do you do this? How do you do that? You see, we have our culture, not minding what happens in Europe and Western education and so on. All this life skills training, we also have to teach them. They are very essential for their development. And when they have this, you also lead them to problem solving. Even when you're hungry, we say, oh, when you're hungry, just take it easy, take it cool, and so on. Then you're talking about life skills training, about let them understand the way how they manage their anger. We call it emotional intelligence in psychology. All this we need to do. The mentorship program. I know you want to.
We need to go, sir. I just knew that. I'm sure that you know that you cannot afford not to listen to this program next week Monday between 4:30 and 5, because there is just still so much that Prof has to tell us, that has to teach us. And you know, as we wrap it up, I just want you to give one word.
Okay.
As we wrap it up this evening.
All right. Well, I think the word I would like to give, or parting words I would like to give for this evening, I will say for the year, because the year is winding up, is that
because it will be next year that we'll be talking again.
That ideally, as parents, our children, our sure bankers in the future. If somebody will say that our sure investment, that's for us in Yoruba land in Africa. Not Europe. We are not in Europe, which would tell me. So we should be able to train our child in which we'll be at peace with ourselves, wherever we find ourselves, whether we are there or not.
On 360 Parenting, we like to say that our children are our guarantee of tomorrow. So how you train them today will determine if that tomorrow will come. I like to say thank you to everybody, to my producer, Iyaduni, to DJ Cole for always doing this. Thank you very much, Prof, for being here. And to all of our listeners, thank you very much. This is where I will draw the curtain this year, 2024. And I dare say, see you in the new year. Bye-bye.